All right, so now we move on to what is potentially the most anticipated fight on this fight card. This is Khamzat Chimaev versus Gerald Meerschaert at 185 pounds. Now, this is interesting because Khamzat Chimaev, he's competing at 170 pounds and 185 pounds. If you look at his UFC debut, he competed at 185 pounds, and then just 10 days later, he competed at 170 pounds. So Khamzat's competing in this fight against Gerald Meerschaert at 185 pounds, and then he has a second fight scheduled here in about a month with Damian Maia at 170 pounds. This isn't the first time we've seen this from him. Like I just said, in his UFC debut, he was 185. Then he fought Rhys McGee at 170 after that. So let's dive in a little bit deeper into Khamzat Chimaev. Khamzat was born in Chechnya, Russia, but now he lives in Sweden. He's representing Sweden in this fight. He's 8-0 in MMA, 26 years old, 6 feet 2 inches tall, and 2-0 inside of the UFC, finishing both fights inside of the first round. So Khamzat defeated John Phillips in the first round by submission with a Darce choke, and then he fought Rhys McGee 10 days later at 170 pounds, and he defeated him in the first round with a ground and pound. Now, up until this point, when we're talking about Khamzat Chimaev, he doesn't seem to have been tested. But we need to be a little bit honest with ourselves. Neither John Phillips or Rhys McGee is a grappler. So him taking them down and defeating them in the first round, yes, it's impressive. Yes, it's impressive that he set the record. But I think that we still have more questions to ask about Khamzat Chimaev. Khamzat's great. I'm a big fan of his. I like what I see from him, but it's still too early and we still have more to see from him, which is why this fight is so good. Now, Khamzat has 4 wins by submission and 4 wins by knockout. He has never been defeated before, and he did just receive his blue belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu this August. Khamzat has good striking and good takedowns. He does a good job of mixing them up together. We haven't seen a lot from his striking yet, though. Now he goes against Gerald the Machine Meerschaert. Gerald Meerschaert, he's an American, 31-13 in MMA. He's 32 years old, 6 feet 1 inches tall, and 6-5 inside of the UFC. He is 2-3 in his last 5 fights, coming off of a loss to Ian Heinisch. He's a Taekwondo style fighter with a black belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu and a black belt in kickboxing as well. Now, I don't really see that black belt in kickboxing come out much. Usually it's going to the ground pretty fast for him, and we see that ground game, or he's pressuring in, trying to set up and take it down to the ground. And when he does strike, honestly, I don't really see much of a kickboxing background there, but supposedly he has a black belt there. Gerald Meerschaert is also the former RFA 185-pound champion. Now, with this fight here, what makes this so interesting is the fact that Gerald Meerschaert has 23 submission wins on his record. He does have 6 wins by knockout and 2 wins by decision, but what I really want to focus on is the 23 wins by submission. What's important to note about that is that he does have 8 losses by submission as well and 3 losses by decision. So this fight right here really gives us the opportunity to gauge the level of Khamzat Chimaev's grappling. So we've seen him come out and be dominant, but they weren't against grapplers. We get to see him against a guy who has good grappling, who has a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt. We have a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt versus a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu blue belt right here. On paper, Meerschaert should be miles and miles ahead of Khamzat Chimaev. So this is a great test to see where he's really at. One of the things that I think you guys are going to see in this fight, and you might be a little bit surprised to see it, is I think that Gerald Meerschaert is going to force Khamzat Chimaev to have to use some of his striking. Now, we haven't seen it much inside the UFC, but Khamzat has pretty good striking that he can mix in there to set up his takedowns and stuff, and I expect to see him use those strikes a little bit more. I don't think he's going to come in right away and take down Meerschaert like he has in the past with these last couple of fighters. I don't think he's going to take him down right away and grind him out and land a bunch of ground and pound right away. I think it is going to happen over a course of time. I think in round 2, after we've had a little bit of battling going on in round 1, where I think Khamzat will win that first round. I don't think that he's going to be overly dominant, getting a 10-8 round or anything like that. I think Khamzat's going to win that round. We're going to go into round 2. He's going to take down Meerschaert again after a little bit of back and forth. I think that Khamzat will actually have the striking advantage in this fight, and he's going to use that to set up those takedowns to get it down to the ground. What he has to be worried about is the fact that Meerschaert can attack a submission at any point. He has 23 on his record, you guys. 23 submissions there. If Khamzat gets past that, That's a good gauge of where he's at, because Meerschaert, while he has 23 submission wins, he has 8 submission losses. This is a good gauge. Is he somewhere in the middle? Is he up here? Or is he actually down here? If he gets dominated by Meerschaert in the grappling game, Khamzat, the hype train, goes out the window. It's a must win for Khamzat right here, and it's a really big opportunity for Gerald Meerschaert to boost his name up a little bit. But overall, in this fight, I think that Khamzat Chimaev will win by TKO in round 2 from ground and pound.